Thank you so much for joining today's session. Today we are going to learn quite a lot. I hope you are ready and are excited just as I am. Over to you, Zablon.
Thank you so much, Gerald. All right. Okay, so let's start our afternoon class by just going over what we covered last week. So I'll start by recapping week one assignment. So I'm going to show you how you're supposed to do the week one assignment. And then from there, if you know you made an error or you did not do the way I'm going to show you, you can just make change. All right. So let me share my screen. Okay. So I want you to access your LMS first things first. Uh, I read a few of your feedback that some of you are not able to know where the assignment is. So first of all, you come to the courses, and then you come to the software development. And then once you're there, click database, okay, because we are learning database, right? And then come to the curriculum part. So you need to read all these contents for you to understand. So we have whatever we covered in class is right here. So you just need to go through. Also, the recordings are written here, the lesson recording. That's where you can get the recording. When you click this link, you get a link there. You need to just right click that link and then access the recordings. Okay, we are together after that. Now you need to do these weekly code challenges for your own practice, just to understand whatever you learned from here up to here. Now, this is where you get the assignment. All right. So you need to click this assignment. All right. And then once you click that assignment, you're going to access this section of this LMS, all right? So click here to access week one assignment. You need to right click, all right? Once you right click, you're going to see this pop-up menu and then open link in new tab. Are we together? All right, once you've done that, click, all right? It's gonna direct you to a new page, all right? So you're going to be asked to accept the assignment, all right? So click to accept the assignment. Once you accept, click this blue link, you'll be directed to your working area, all right? Now this is the assignment, all right? Okay, don't fork. What you need to do from here is just read the assignment question, and then once you are okay with that, come here to clone. All right, to clone is just to download. Now click this button to copy the link and then open your terminal. So how do you open your terminal? If you're using a Windows, press search button or Windows T or Windows button, all right? And then search for CMD. If you're using a Mac or a Linux, search for your terminal, okay, or the shell, all right? I believe my terminal or the CMD is visible, okay? I want you to go to any location that you feel comfortable downloading this file, where these files are going to be stored. So me, I prefer having these files in my desktop so that I can access them easily, all right? So all you need to do is change directory, start by writing CD. What does this mean? CD means I want to move from this current location to this another location. That's why I use CD, change directory. That's what it means in full. So move here, go to here. So right now I'm in the administrator folder. All right. So I want to move to a desktop folder. Okay. So you need to CD desktop like that. Then you press enter and then you press enter. You'll be directed to a new folder. That's the same thing that you're doing. It's just like moving to your desktop. So I'm in my desktop, but now I'm using the terminal or the CMD. All right. I'm in my desktop, but now I've accessed it using the CMD. I'll create a new folder where I'll be putting all my database assignment and all materials related to my database module because I'm learning database, right? So I want to be organized. I want to put everything under one folder. All right. So I'll start by creating a new folder. You can call the folder any name that you prefer as long as you won't forget. So let's call this to create a new folder. You just give it a name, make da. All right. Give the folder a name, any name that you prefer. I can call this my Zablon like that. And then once I do that, press enter. All right. The same thing is the same thing as doing this. You're right clicking and then creating a new folder. And then we call this Zablon 2. But now I'm using what? I'm using the terminal instead of using the graphical user interface. All right. I believe we are all together. We can see up to that point. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Now, so once you do that, come back to your terminal. Okay. We are not creating using the graphical user interface. We are now using the terminal. It's just we are doing the same thing, but now using the terminal. It's just a different way of doing uh, the same thing. Okay. So once you do that, move again to the folder that you just created called Zablon. All right. But don't call it Zablon. Give it your name so that you won't forget. All right. Or you can give it any name that you prefer. So I've moved into this folder called Zablon. It's the same thing as opening this folder, just like that. But now we are using what? The terminal. I believe everyone is in the same place that I'm in. So it's the same thing, okay? But now we are using the terminal. So once you're in, I want to store all uh, the repo that I've copied from GitHub into this folder that is called Zablon for easy access. How do I do that? I'll need to write git clone. That's the special command that we use to download those folders from GitHub to your desktop, to your computer, not to your personal computer. All right. We are downloading it from cloud and then we bring it to your computer. All right. So you need to paste that link. How do you paste it? You press Control V if you're using a Windows. If you're using a Linux or a Mac, Mac is Command V, I think, and then Linux is Control Shift V. All right. If you're using a Windows, Control V. Linux, Control Shift V. You'll have the same link. Where did I get this link? I got this link from GitHub when I accepted my assignment. This is the link. All right. I've just pasted it in my terminal because I want to download that repo to my computer. Are we together? Yes. Now, once you press enter, it will be downloaded to that folder that you've just created. Okay, so we've downloaded the folder. The name of the folder is here. It's called week one PLP database department week one. That one. So right now I'm in the folder called Zablon, but I want to change my location from Zablon into the folder that I've just created. And the folder that I've just cloned or downloaded is called week one PLP database. So to do that, again, I'll use the word CD, change directory, because it's like moving from one town to another, one town to another. Yani, we are moving from New York, maybe to another town, to London. Now, for our case, using the terminal, we use CD. And then we press WK, press tab key to autocomplete because now that name is lengthy. So you press enter like that. Right now we in the repo or the folder that we've just cloned from GitHub. The folder name it's called week one PLP database. The same thing is the same thing as doing this. Okay, coming to your browser, where is that folder? The folder is here, right? The folder that you created using the terminal. It's called Zablon, right? So it's the same thing as opening you, but using the graphical user interface. It's the same files, but now we're using what? We're using our terminal. Okay. Yeah, because the terminal is faster, and then as we progress, you'll be required to you'll need to use the terminal because it's fast and most of the things can be executed quickly using the terminal. So I want to open Visual Studio Code so that I can read the question. So to open Visual Studio Code in this same path, the path is this. Okay. So to open Visual Studio in this same path, all I need to do is write code then space like that. Okay, take a moment. Now, what will happen if I execute this? It will open Visual Studio Code. Okay, I believe you have Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code is what? Visual Studio Code is an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. This is the software we use to write our codes. Okay, whether you're using Python, Java, PHP, any language, all right? Okay, it makes it easy to read your commands, all right? And also to maybe you find some certain errors or bug within your within the code you're going to write. So I want to open Visual Studio. So all I need to do is press enter like that. Once I do that, just like that, it's going to open Visual Studio in the same path. This is the same thing as doing this, okay? It's here, okay? This is our week one. So all I need to do is right click and then open with code. So it's the same thing that you are doing, but now we're using the terminal. You're just like going through your it's called a desktop, and then right clicking on the folder that you want to open, but now you want to open it with Visual Studio Code. I believe that is right. Now you've opened it in Visual Studio Code, right? So the assignment questions can be gotten in the README. Now, when you access this README, you have the introduction and then the learning objective, and then what you'll need. You need maybe MySQL, yeah, mostly MySQL, and then a text editor like a Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, or any editor that you're using and you're comfortable working with. So, and then the basic knowledge of database management system, which you're learning. Now, submission instruction. Write all your queries in answers.sql file. Where can I get this file? This file is right here. When you come to the left pane, it's here. It's answers.sql. Okay. Now, answer each question concisely and make sure your queries are clear and correct. Structure your responses clearly and use comment if necessary to explain your approach. All right. Believe we're together up to that point. Now, just a little bit down, you'll get the assignment question. So we have two questions. Okay, this was for week one assignment. Where did I get all this assignment from? LMS. So write an SQL query to create a new database called SalesDB. All right. So I believe everyone has MySQL Server installed. So all you need to do is now open your SQL Workbench. Don't execute this, whatever you're going to write from this Visual Studio Code. What you need to do is open MySQL Workbench if you're comfortable with that, or you can use the terminal. So first things first, I'll come here and search MySQL Workbench. There it is, and then I'll open. Okay, so once you open, you are directed to this new page. I believe it's visible on your end. So once you've been directed to this new page, all you needed to do is just click their local connection. I believe everyone has local connection. Don't worry about these other ones that I have here in mind. Okay, so just click local connection and then write your password. Okay, so that is my password, and then I'll say okay. Once I click OK, I'm directed to a new place. All right. Yeah. So we have right now, this is where we can see all our database that we've created. Okay. So right now, I only have two databases, which is Alex and then sys. The sys is for system configuration. Don't worry about it. Don't never touch it. Now, here, this is what we call the SQL workbench. Okay. This is where you can test if your SQL is working perfectly, if the commands that you've written are working. Okay. So to do that, we'll start with understanding the first question. What is the first question again? So the first question is write an SQL query to create a database called SalesDB, right? So come back to your SQL workbench and then write this. So write create database and then give it the name SalesDB like that. Okay. I believe the command is visible for everyone. All right. Now, how do I execute this? Now, take a deep breath, take a moment, and then look at what I'm gonna click. So to execute this, start counting these icons at the top from the left. 1, 2, 3. I believe it's visible. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Once I click, right now here it's empty, right? But when I click it, what will happen? To give me a green check to tell me this command was executed successfully. Okay, or it passed. I'm getting a green check. But now, when it comes to the left pane, I can see the database. All I need to do is just refresh over here. and there it appears. All right. So what you're required to do now, copy it. Okay, just copy for me the commands. Okay, highlight it and then copy. Once you've copied, come back to the Visual Studio Code and then come to where we have the answers.sql, then paste it there like that. Save. I believe that is clear. Now let's go to, we are done with question 1. Come back to question 2. Write an SQL query to drop the database called demo. So what we were testing you here is, do you know how to create a demo? Yes, you created it from the first question, but are you able to create another one called demo and then delete it? So come back to your SQL Workbench. I believe it's still open. Now let's create a new database. Create database, but now give it the name demo, right? Like that. As you can see, it's not appearing anywhere here. So once you execute, how did I say we execute? 1, 2, 3. Click, and then you get a green check. Okay. So when I refresh here, it's going to appear. There it is. It's here. I've clicked it. It's here, right? We've all confirmed it's here, right? But now the question is telling us, write an SQL query to drop. So to drop means you're deleting the entire database. You're doing away with that database. It's called demo. So come back to your SQL Workbench and then just interchange this because it's the same command, but now instead of create, you're writing drop database. Okay. So it's here. We can all see it. It's called demo. But when I execute this, it's gonna disappear because I've deleted it completely. That's what drop means. Okay. You're deleting it completely. So when I execute it, it just disappeared. And then I'm getting green check. The database demo has been deleted successfully. So copy for me this command, right click, copy, come back here to your Visual Studio Code, and then paste it as question 2. Okay, we've confirmed both of the commands are working, right? The first one and the second one. Now, what you need to do is come back to your CMD, the terminal. Okay, now, when you come back to the terminal, there are a few commands you learned in your first 2 classes, in your first 2 weeks classes of your software engineering essential. Some of the things that you learned was Git and GitHub, right? So you're taught some of the commands that you'll be working with, okay, in your day-to-day experience as a software engineer. Now, one of the commands that I want us to write is git status. If I press enter, okay, I get a red something, a red line or red word. So what this tells us is the file answers.sql has been tampered with or has been modified, has been changed. It's not the same way we downloaded it. When we downloaded it, it was empty. Okay. Now we've tampered it. Okay. We've changed the way it was. That's what it means. It has been modified. But now, how do we make Git be aware of the command, of how the commands has been changed? To do that, we start by writing git add, all right, answers, that's the name of the file, okay? Okay, where am I getting this file? This file is the same file here, the one that we've changed, all right? It's called answers.sql. So once you do that, come back to the terminal kindly and then press enter. Okay, right now you'll notice that word has gone from red to green, meaning Git is now aware of it. Are we together? Great. Now, so once we do that, the next step is what we call bookmarking. You want to tell another software engineer or another person going through your code what you've just done. To do that, we use a command git commit. All right. So git commit with a message. Okay, let me get some working area. To do that, if you're using Windows, you write CLS. CLS is simply clear the screen. If you're using a Mac or a Linux, you write clear, the full clear. Now, I want to tell another software engineer what I've just done, or someone going through my code what I've just done. It's just like bookmarking. You see how you read maybe a textbook, and then maybe you get to a certain point, and then you just add like a small bookmark to just know this is where I reached. All right. So you need to write this git commit -m, okay, or -m, and then open double quotes, okay. Write there a message. What have you just done? Add a message that has content. For example, we've just done week 1 assignment, right? You can even say submitting week 1 assignment. That when another person comes and read your go through your SQL queries, they're able to understand what you just did, what you've just done, right? So you write submitting week 1 assignment. It depends with you. You can just write any message and then close it. You open with a double quote and then you close it with a double quote, and then you press enter like that. Once you do that, you see one file change, 2 insertion, and 0 deletion because we haven't deleted anything. All right. So once we do that, okay. Now this is the final step. All these changes are in your computer. Okay. We want we want we want to tell anyone who is um, anyone from wherever they are in the world to know the changes that you've just made from your computer such that they're able to see. All you need to do is write this git push, and your changes will be in your GitHub like that. Once you press enter, they'll go back to GitHub, and then you'll be able to see the changes that you just made in your answers.sql. These ones, they'll be back in your GitHub. And then when someone is reviewing them, they'll be able to understand what you've just done. Okay, these changes are right now in my computer. You're not able to see them. Okay, even if we go back to here, it's empty. But when I write git push, okay, you're going to see them here. As you can see, this script is right now, the answer to SQL, it's empty because the changes are only in my computer. What is needed of me is to write git push so that those changes that are in my computer can be replicated in the GitHub. All right. And anyone from wherever they are, they're able to see those changes. Whether in Japan, Tunisia, Ghana, you'll be able to see those changes. So the final step is writing git push, and then you press enter. I believe that is clear. I'm not going to push because now that repo is on our end. I'll mess things up, but I wanted to show you up to that point. I believe that is clear. But for you, just press enter. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we can start week 2. I believe everyone is now clear on how to do the assignment. So let's come back to today's topic. Sorry about that. Let me start the slides. Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome again to the database design module, the afternoon session. So today we are going to cover some exciting topic. So what you're going to learn, you as a software engineer or as a learner, number one, you're going to learn what you call the DDL. So the DDL is the data definition language, all right? We also have what you call, we're also going to learn how to create a table with various common data types. The other thing is you can use the SQL commands to filter. We're going to use some of the SQL commands to filter data in a database using the where clause. We're also going to practice on writing SQL queries to retrieve and filter data from a sample database. All right, so let's start by understanding the database design process. So first things first, don't know, it's not going next. Okay, there, yeah, there it is. So Database design process. So this is the process that you have to go through, you as a software engineer, for you to design a database. Okay. So the process is broken down into three major stages. So number one, we have what we call the requirement analysis. What happens in the requirement analysis? The requirement analysis is where you as a developer, you determine what database will store, what the database will store, and how the data items will relate to each other. Okay, so here, this is where you determine, yes, I'm building a CRM, okay, customer relationship management system, right? So if I design the database, what kind of data will the database store, right? I'm building a hospital management system. What kind of data will that database store? I'm building a learning management system. What kind of data will that database store? Now, this is what we call requirement analysis. You determine what kind of data will the database store. Next follows what you call the conceptual design, building from what you've from what you've discovered in the requirement analysis, and then you build it into a concept. Okay. So the concept is, once we know the database requirements, we distill them into a formal description, okay, of the database design. You can even draw like a sketch of how you like the database to look like. Okay. So there are tools in the market that we use to do this. Okay. There's Lucidchart, there's Draw.io, so many. And then we come to the logical design. Finally, we map the database into an existing DBMS. Okay, so last week we covered or we saw some of the popular DBMS that we have in the market, and said there's Postgres, there's Oracle, there are so many. So once you've covered this, now and you've determined this, it brings you to what you call the DDL. DDL, now these are the commands that brings database objects into existence. We have create, we have alter, we have truncate, and we have drop. So what does a create do? When you write create, it allows you to create either a database or a new table. Simple. We have alter. Alter has multiple functions. Number one, you can either add a new column in a table. You can rename you can rename a column in a table. You can also modify a column in a table. Okay. I've said you can add a new column. You can rename a new column, can modify, and you can delete all that using the alter command. Okay. We have truncate. So with truncate, it removes data from a table, okay, but keeps the table structure intact. It's just like going to Excel sheet. In your Excel, maybe you've written someone, you want to delete all the data in the Excel, but now still remain with the Excel the way it is, how you've written the heading part, also the numbers, just keep them the way they are, but you want to delete only the data. Now, the same command is called truncate, but in SQL, where you only delete the data, but you remain in the structure the way it is. The table structure remains intact, but you only delete the data inside that table. We also have the drop. So with drop command, it drops or deletes the table and all the values stored within that table completely. You're advised to be careful when executing such commands, because this action cannot be reversible. Let's cover another set of command we call the DML, okay? Data manipulation language. So with data manipulation language, we have select, update, delete, and insert. What does DML do? So with DML, these are commands that are used to operate on existing objects. So you've already created the database. You've also created the data. And then inside that database, okay, you have few tables. And inside the table, you have data. So you want to operate, or you either want to modify, to delete, or remove certain rows. We use what you call the data manipulation language: the select, update, delete, and insert. So let's start with the select command. What does select command do? It is used to select data from a table in a database. You can use select command to either fetch one column or multiple column. Okay. We also have the update. So as the name goes, to update, you're just updating the table. You're modifying. Maybe let's say the column with the names of your customer, maybe you mistaken and you have written the name of your customer the wrong way. So you want to update, use the update command. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to show you how you use this command in SQL Workbench. All right. So let's go with the delete. Delete, as the name goes, it deletes an entire row. Okay. And then we also have insert. So with insert, this are the command that we use to insert data into a table. We use the insert command. All right. There are a few other commands that you can also find in the command, but you'll find them as we progress. Once you get comfortable with SQL, you'll find like call, lock, and call. So what does lock do? So with lock, it's a flag you pass whenever you're creating a table uh, to tell MySQL or to MySQL to allow you as a client to explicitly prevent someone else from accessing your table. It just locks the session, okay? Yeah, for a given period, and then you can always unlock it. Then we have the call. So with the call, this one is used for calling procedures, okay? So procedure we said is what? A set of instruction. Yes. We have the comments in SQL. So what are comments? So the comments, you can use the comment maybe to tell someone what you're trying to work on or to explain a complex logic for someone to understand. So with comments, it's very crucial for clarity's sake and context, making queries easier to understand and maintain. Okay. So it helps explain complex logic, document changes that you've just made, and justify why you made certain choices. In SQL, you can add comments in two ways. You have single line comments and multiple line comments. I'll show you how to write them. All right. Next, we have the order by clause. So this is one of those commands that you'll never miss, the order by clause. So when you write the select statement to query data from the table, the order of rows in the result set is unspecified. To sort the rows in the result set, you add the order by clause, okay, to the select statement so that you arrange your data, okay, either in ascending order or descending order. That's the work of the order by clause. So you only arranging your queries either in ascending order or descending order. By default, is in ascending order. Next, we have the where clause. So with the where, clause allows you to specify such condition for rows returned by a query. So most of the time, you'll find that you'll have to use the where clause with what you call the comparison operator, and you also have the logical operators. So comparison operators are this one that I've added for you. So we have the equality, not equal, not equal to. We also have less than sign, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Okay. We also have the logical operators. The logical operators are the and, or, and the not. Okay. I'll explain how to use them shortly. Great. So I want someone to just raise their hand and read for us the checkpoint session so that we can now go to the hands-on. Okay, Daniel Momboa, please read for us. Daniel, if you're there, kindly let me know if you're there. Okay, let's go to the next person. Angela. Yeah, read please for us.
Okay, it says, can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're audible. Go on.
Okay. Name three stages of database design process.
Yeah, please just
State and
comment there.
explain.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
let's solve one. Please just type in the charts what are the three stages of database design process. Thank you so much, Lucano. Daniel, Brazil. All right. Next one, Angela. Angela. Okay, Angela has disappeared.
Okay, I have to read again. Okay.
Yeah, the second one.
Okay, it says, state and explain data definition language commands.
Yes, what are those commands that fall under DDL? Great, amazing to the ones who are commenting. Perfect. Now, final, Angela.
So the final one says, what is the difference between truncate and drop commands?
Yes, guys, what's the difference between truncate and drop command? All right, thank you to the ones who are commenting. So let's go to the next section where we oh, the key takeaways. Now, Agent, I want Agent to read for us this. Samuel Maina. Samuel? Yeah, Samuel, go on. Read for us this, the key takeaways.
Okay, so the key takeaways is one of them is use the by order clause to sort the results set by one or more columns. Use the where clause to filter rows by a condition. Use the drop statement to delete the tables and all its values all together. And you can use the truncate statement to remove all the data by keep the table structure intact.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now I want to give you guys 1 minute to open your SQL Workbench so that you can start with what I've just told you. So we start with the design process, and then we come to see how we can create a table, and then we'll progress from there. So let's take the shortest time possible to open our SQL Workbench. Please open your SQL Workbench. I already have mine opened. So let's take the shortest time. Believe you can react with a thumbs up if you have viewers opened. React with a thumbs up if you have viewers opened. Amazing. So come back to your browser. Remember, I said there are a few tools you can always use to design, okay, for design process, right? So first things first, what I want you to do is search for this. Search draw.io, or alternatively, you can use the Lucidchart. Either will work, okay? So this is the one, Lucidchart or Draw.io, okay? These are the ones I find to be user-friendly. So if you know any other, please let us know. I'll be more than happy to learn a new one, right? So you'll be directed to this, all right? Okay, I believe everyone is in this same page. I'm giving everyone 30 seconds for those whose internet is slow. Right, there it is. Okay, now click here. You see this first one, click here. And then you'll be directed to this new page. Okay. You can give it any name that you feel comfortable. Name it whatever, okay? The naming doesn't matter. And then click create. Are we all together? Click create. This is where you click. The button is here. Okay, just see where I'm hovering my mouse. Okay, click here. Once you click, you'll be directed to a new working area. Okay, let's take the shortest time possible, 30 seconds for those who are still behind. Yeah, let's take the shortest time. Okay, 2 seconds. All right, cool. Now, once you access this site called the Draw.io, let's start by understanding. We said the first thing is what? Requirement analysis. So let's design something very simple, okay? Let's go with maybe a school database, right? Or an LMS, okay? So first things first, an LMS or a school database. Okay, let's go with the school database, sorry, school database. So what are some of the data can you as a software engineer or you might want to store in that database called school? So number one, we have students in that school, right? We have teachers, we have staff, we have classes, we have inventory, right? Okay. We have what within a school? We have, please tell me what's within a school again that can be stored inside the database. All right. So come again and scroll down a little bit. You see where it's written entity relation. Okay, click here, entity relation. Just please pay attention to where I'm dragging my mouse. Entity relation, right? Here. Now, once you open, click on the first table. All right, there it is. Now that we've said we are creating a school database, it's like creating a folder that we call school database. And then inside that folder, we have other various files. Now this file is what we call table. So we can store here, we can call this table staff, right? This for staff who work within the school, right? So for us to be able to differentiate one staff from a different staff, maybe this one is the one who take care for the kitchen department, and then we have the one who takes care of the cleaning, maybe the school compound and things like that. So we have the IDs, and also I'll want to store their first name and their last name. Write that first name and also their last name, like that. Also, I will want to store the date of employment, right? Date of employment, right? Let's add another field. So another one that we can store is gender, right? Are we all together? So we can store their first name, their last name, their date of employment, and also their gender. Another thing we can store is their salary. How much are they earning? Right? We are all together, right? Great. Now, first name, last name, date of employment, gender, salary. There are so many other things that you can always add to this table. Okay. So we've already designed how we will want this table to appear now. Okay, we've put it into concept, right? So let's create another table. We'll call that table student. All right, so we'll have the unique IDs. All right. The unique IDs can be, they don't necessarily have to be IDs. They can always be alphanumeric, depends with you. They can also be UUID, unique integers. Okay. So once you do that, I'll store their name. Also their last name, their age. Another thing I can store related to a student, maybe class or department. Which department do they fall under? Maybe I fall under the engineering department. You fall under the human resource department, okay? Because you're learning maybe human resource kind of stuff or the business stuff, right? I'm learning more of the civil engineering, the mechanical things and things like that. Another person falls under which department? The IT, the computer, right? So we can say here the department. All right. So these are the two tables we can use as an example, but you can always continue, okay, designing this database further and further and further. It does not stop here, all right? So we can continue with the teachers table, the class table, different departments, the HODs and things like that. All right, so I believe everyone has their SQL workbench opened. So let's go back to our SQL workbench. Now that we've designed, right? I believe everyone has designed, right? How you want the tables to look like. Come back to SQL workbench. Please open your SQL workbench. There it is, right? I believe now it's visible. I'll clear that because we are not using that. Okay, 1 minute for those who have yet to open the SQL workbench. I'm waiting for you. All right. Great. Now let's start writing. First things first, we are creating what? A school database, right? So when you create a database, how did I say we write these commands? We start by writing create database. Okay. The entire database is called what? School DB. Let's give it a name, school DB. Like that. Okay. I believe the command is visible on your screen. Now, how do we execute this? Remember, I said to execute this line, start counting these icons. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I click this, we'll see a green check here. Okay, here at the bottom. So once I execute, just like that, there it is. We call this the output, right? The result of whatever command we've executed at the top. So this result is able to tell us what just happened. Let's read it, okay? Because you'll be required to understand some of these results and also the logs that comes from your database. Now, this one is written as 14, because this is the time, right? It's 2 o'clock and 59:59, okay? So 59th minute, 59 seconds. That's when I executed this command, create database. What happened? The message is one row got affected. And then the time it took, 0.00 microsecond. So right now I can see the school database. What do I need to do in order for me to see this database called school. All I need to do is come here to the schemas, where it's student schemas in bold, refresh, and there it is. All right, school DB, it's here. We started by writing create database, and then how did we execute? To execute this, 1, 2, 3. I believe that is visible. And then you execute. You'll get a green check here. But if you make a mistake and then you double click or click it multiple times, you're likely to see this error. Okay? Yes, you're going to see this error. This error tells us what? Can't create database school DB, database already exists. Okay? Now, me as a developer, I'm able to understand that this database already exists. So I don't need to keep on double clicking for me to see it. It's already there. So all you need to do is just come and refresh it here. Believe that is visible. Let's come back to, now let's switch again just for 30 seconds back to draw IO because I want you to see something. We designed 2 tables, right? Okay, just watch my browser. Pay attention to my browser now, okay? We created 2 new, we designed 2 new tables, right? This is the first table and then this is the second table. Let's start by creating maybe this staff table. Come back to your SQL Workbench, where it is, and then open, all right? Once you open, remove whatever you've just written, or alternatively, you can click here. Do you see where my mouse is? Please look here. You open a new working area. Or alternative, you can just clear what you had written. But if you want to come and maybe read the commands later, you can just open a new working area from here. Now, we want to tell the server which database we are working with. To do that, you need to write use, okay, space, take a deep breath, and then write school DB like that. Add a semicolon. Now, once I execute this, you'll see that the school database will turn into bold, all right? Now the server will know that we are working with the school database. Once I execute this, please pay attention to what will happen. There, the school DB has turned into bold, right? Press enter to go to the next line. Take a deep breath. So the first table that I said we are creating is called staff, right? So remember the DDL command that we touched on, the create. This is where we come to apply it. Create space. Take a deep breath. Now specify what you want to create. What we are creating is a table. And then the name of the table is called staff. Open a bracket. That's a what? Bracket. Square bracket. No, not a square bracket. It's called is it a parenthesis? Okay, just know it's a bracket, right? Just open a bracket like that. How do you do that? Shift and then number 9 on the keyboard. Go to the next line. So the first thing that we were to start, or the attributes of our table, what you call the attribute. Attribute, another name for attribute is just features. ID, okay? Then what data type or which data type will the ID be? We call them integers. Why? Because it is numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one. We call it integers in SQL or in any programming. Integers. So we write int. Also, we want to use this column as our unique identifier such that we are able to differentiate one column from another. So we need to pass what we call a constraint, and that constraint is what we call a primary key. Right there, primary key, like that. Add a comma. Okay. And then we said the values that we're going to store related to a staff. Number 1 is their first name. We want to store their first name like that. And then it's going to be of data type varchar because it's a sequence of strings or a sequence of characters, not strings, a sequence of characters. So the A, B, C, D, those ones. Okay. Also their last name. Another thing is the gender, right? The varchar. Like that. And then the final thing was date of employment, DO. Like that. So this one can be dates. All right. Salary. Like that. Salary is gonna be decimal because you might be paid maybe 300,000, but with a few cents after that, maybe 300,000 dot dot dot, right? So we write that. How many values are you likely to store here? Maybe you want to store 10 values, right? Maybe there's an employee who's getting $1 million as their salary, right? $1 million is how many how many numbers? 6, right? So if we get an employee who maybe earns maybe $1 million, they'll be we'll be able to store them because we can only take 10 characters, right? And then once you store maybe $1 million, you want to store maybe with a decimal value. So what happens after writing 1 million? Is it dot two what do you call them? Two numbers of no, sorry, dots, and then like that. Apologies, it's comma, then two decimal precision, then you close. Okay, and then close it. That's our table. Let me repeat what I've just done. I believe it's visible now. So we started by telling our server which database we want to work with. We started by creating a database, right? We created the database called SchoolDB. That's the database. And then once you create that database, we want to tell the server which database we are currently working with. To do that, you need to use SchoolDB. Okay. So once you write that, it will turn to be bold. Why? Because the server knows that you are currently working with this, what you call the SchoolDB. Okay. So come back here. Now, to create a table, remember we said there are commands, we call them DDL. So one of the command is create. Now this is where you apply create. So you write create table staff. Okay, that's the name of the table. This is the name of our table. It's called staff. And then this is what you call attributes of a table. What do I mean by attributes? These are the unique features of this table that we call staff. Okay. Yeah. Now, once you've already specified everything that you need inside the table, we are now ready to execute so that this table can be created. Right now, you can see here, we don't have any table, but once we execute this table is going to be created under this folder that we call tables here. So allow me to execute. How did I say we execute? 1, 2, 3. Once I click here, it's going to be created. And there it is. As you can see, I'm reading this output that tells me whatever I was trying to execute at the top has been successfully executed. It was a success, right? Now, let's come back here to the schemas in bold and then refresh. There it is. And now we are able to see the table stuff. Okay, 1 minute for that to sink in. All right, let's continue. Okay, we've executed, right? So we need to fill this table with data. Currently, it's empty. Which command do we use to do that? We use a command called insert. As you can see, the table is empty. It doesn't have anything, okay? So we need to fill it with data. To fill it with data, we use the command insert. I'll open a new working area and then start writing this. Use school DB because it's a new working area. All right, then I'll come to the new line. Write this, insert, all right, space, and then write into. It's just like plain English. Insert into. The name of the table is called what? Staff. Open a bracket, then close it. Okay. Come back inside of this table, this bracket, and then specify the columns that you want to fill with data. So the first column is ID. We also have the first name and last name. Okay. We also have the gender, right? We also have the date of employment, right? And then the salary, like that. So these are the columns that I want to fill in with data, right? So press enter, then specify the values that you want to store. So write values, okay? Open a bracket and close it. Now, inside here, this is where you write all your values. So I'll write my number 1, open that, or comma. Their first name, maybe we can create a few of stuff. So I'll call this one Peter, right? Their last name maybe is, maybe like that. And then their gender is, of course, male, like that. Close it. The date of employment, okay? I'll add it as like that, 2025, 02, maybe 11, like that. And the next thing is salary. So salary is maybe the earning 3,000, like that. Then add a comma, add another value. Let's call it 2. We can create now a female, maybe Mercy, comma, Pauline. That's their last name. She's a female. And then the date that they got employed, maybe it's last year. Close it like that. Okay, I forgot to add their salary. Maybe they're earning 4,000. Right? Close it, because these are the only records I want to store. Currently, our table is empty. It doesn't have anything. But once I execute this, it will have these 2 records. All right. So number 1, the first row, we have Peter. That's their first name. Smith, and then the gender is male, of course. This is the date of their employment, and then their salary. These are the same columns we wrote here: ID, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, and salary. All right. So once we've learned this, I'll show you another way of maybe adding this numbers to be auto-generated later. Okay. So once you execute this, this will be stored in our table that we call staff. Let's execute. Great. And then we get a green check here. Still, I'm reading these logs, right? Insert into, and then it was executed successfully. 2 rows got affected, as you can see. 2 rows got affected. Records that have been stored is 2. Duplicates is 0. 1 is 0. The time it took is 0.16 seconds, right? Now, if I retrieve again, now to retrieve the table, we use a command that is called, let me open a new working area. We want now to see how our table looks like, right? Now, SchoolDB. So to do that, we use a command called select. Remember, we learned it as a DML. It enables us to interact with data that have been stored in the table. So we write select. First, we can select everything from a table. Then the name of the table is called staff, like that. Add a semicolon. Then execute from here at the top. Once you execute, you'll get all the records. Remember when I said with 2 decimal precision? Now, this is what it means when I say with 2 decimal precision. After the salary, then the numbers that follows after the decimal, those ones. Okay. If you wanted 3, just write 3, 4, 6, depends with you. So we've managed to create a table. We've managed to store data inside the table. We've also managed to fetch data from the table using the select, right? Let's talk about another command that we call the alter. All right. So for example, this is called date of employment. Maybe we want to rename it to the full initial. Instead of the initial, we just give it the full name, date of employment, or we can just name it as date or employment date. So to do that, I'll write a new command that we call alter, right? Remember I said with alter, you can either add a new column, you can delete a column, or you can modify an existing column. So let's start with maybe adding a new column. To do that, you write alter table. What's the name of the table? Staff, right? Add, all right? Maybe let's add just height. Okay. Their height is what? Decimal, because it's gonna be maybe someone is 50.6 kg. And then we take into two values and with how many decimal precision? Maybe 3. Like that, you close it and then add a semicolon. Now, once execute, we'll see what you're going to get here as our output. Execute, perfect. We get this one was executed perfectly, right? So let's retrieve our table. Initially, we only had how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if I try to fetch again our table, how many columns will I get? Use SchoolDB like that, execute. Now, select all from, okay, from where? We select all from table staff. Execute again from the top, and there. Here's the height we've just added. Initially, our table had only this column, a few of them. But now we've used the alter command to add a new column. How did we do that? To do that, you just write alter table. The name of the table, you specify the table, and then you add. Okay, I made a mistake here. It's not supposed to be dot, it's supposed to be comma. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to modify. So the other way we can do this is alter table stuff, and then we can modify height. I made a mistake when creating that. So to do that, you can just write modify that, and then we want data with 2 decimal places, and then after the decimal, how many numbers do you want to follow? 3. I've just added 3. It's just an example. You can write 2, 1, depends with you. Okay, how you are structuring the table. Then once executed, I get an error. Okay, never be afraid of this error. So this error tells us alter table modify that error code 1427 for float, right? Double M and then D must be something, something, something. All right. Sometimes you might not be able to understand where this error is coming from. And it's a good thing. It's okay. Yeah. Now, I want to show you how to understand these errors better. Like right now, we are seeing error code 1427. Just come back to your browser. Okay. Take a minute to go back to your browser. Then click new tab and then search MySQL error code 1427. Then you press enter. Okay. So when you see the error code 1427, what is the meaning of it? Error code 1427, I'm trying to look for a place with a very nice description. (1427). Yeah, so don't be afraid when you get these errors. It happens, okay? So here it is. Okay, it's not giving us like a nice description. All right, looks like, let me just go back here and try to understand it. So I wrote decimal as what? As the data type, right? This was the field or the columns that I wanted to create, right? So I added decimal 2, 3, and then maybe it gave us that. What if we try to do that, to just have it as 2, and then we try to execute again from the top? I'll remove this, and then let's try to execute. And then we get a green check. So maybe the reason is because I add 3 over here. So it's trying to like weigh the logic. How is 2 bigger than 3? So it's not getting that. So I had to remove that, okay? And then I was able to bypass that error. So I've been able to modify. Remember, we are using which command? We use Alt, okay? Yeah, we can change as many times as we want. Maybe 3, 2. I believe this will work now. You can try. There it is. So it's working. Yeah. 2 rows got affected. Records that. There. So what that means, the error 1427 means maybe the values on the left side should not be bigger than the values in the right side. All right. So whenever you get such kind of error, don't panic. Always try and research. Just go to your browser, search for that error code that you're getting. That's why I said understanding these logs is very important for you as a software engineer. Okay. Let's go to your next command. Let's touch on update. Are we together on the altar? Yeah. All right. React to the thumbs up if you're okay with the altar. Yeah, if you get a different browser, if you get a different error, maybe 1146, just don't be afraid to research. Go to your browser, enter MySQL error code 1146. Nice, impressive. Great. Now let's learn about a new command that you call the update. So, for example, we have our table that looks, oh, we haven't deleted the column. Let's say, for example, let's say we want to drop this command or delete this column completely. Again, we'll use which command? This one called alter table staff, and then drop. We just replace here. Drop column. Okay. The name of the column is called what? Height, right? And then add a semicolon, and then execute from the top. Once you do that, you get a green check. Oh, wrong place. You get a green check, right? Now, let's retrieve again our table. Does it have the height column? Start by writing use school DB like that, and then select everything from the name of the table is called staff. Once I do that, again, the height has disappeared. How did we do that? We use the alter command to drop that column called height. Right, so that's how you can use the alter to modify a column, to add a new column, or delete a column. So let's talk about the update. For example, maybe this person with row 1, they are not called Peter. Okay, maybe John. I want to change their name from Peter to John. How do I do that? To do that, you'll need a command that we call update. So we want to update the records that are stored within a table, but using the update command. This update command falls under DML. So start by writing use. So use what? Use school. That's the name of the database. We are just telling the server, this is the database that we're working with currently, right? So once you write that, come and start writing update table, all right? Okay, it's supposed to be update, the name of the table, update stuff, all right? Set, set first name equals to John, where I've introduced a new clause. Please pay attention to this one, where maybe the ID is equals to 1, like that. Once execute, we get a green check, right? Let's try to retrieve our table. We confirm if it has the word John. Initially, it was Peter. Now, if I open a new script and then I try to retrieve, the reason why I'm opening this script is for you to notice the difference. But essentially, you don't need to keep on opening so many working areas. You can just work with one. Use school DB, select all from staff. Just like that. Now it has changed to John. Initially, it was Peter. That's how you use the update. All right. Now let's talk about another command that you call. Are we together with the update command? The update, how the update works. Thank you to the ones who are commenting. All right, repeat. All right. So with update, this is how you write the update, right? The name of the table is called what? Staff. This is the name of our table, right? And then we want to change. You can change anywhere. I just chose to change the first name so that you guys can notice the difference. All right. So initially it was Peter, right? And then we wanted to see how the update commands function or works. So we wanted to change the first name of the person in the row 1 to be John instead of Peter. That's how you use the update command. So you use the word set, first name is equals to John, where ID is equals to 1. This is like a condition. So first of all, this query will start by looking at our table. Does it see where the ID is 1? Where the ID is 1? It's here, okay? And then it will update it. But if it tries to locate this and it sees that the ID 1 is not there, we are likely to get an error. Later on, we try to update it when I've deleted this row, and then we'll see. So let's try to delete now. I'll open a new working area. Use school DB. Great. Now, let's use the word delete. So how do we use the delete? So to write the delete, just write delete. Okay. Call what? Delete table. No, delete column. Delete stuff where, okay, the ID is equals to 1. Like that, I know I've missed something. So sometimes you might not be able to remember like how the syntax goes. So I can always come back here and then Google delete command in SQL. So here's the delete. You open. How does it go? Delete from. So you can see I missed the word from. Okay, just to show you how you do research. You can always research. Don't be afraid to research. Then delete from stuff where ID is equals to 1. And then you press enter. When I execute this entire column, or this entire row, you see the one that I've highlighted, will disappear completely because we've deleted it. Right? Now, if I execute this, let's execute. Perfect. We get a green check. Okay. So let's try to retrieve it again. Retrieve the entire table. If I write here, select all from the table stuff, what do I get? I get only Mercy Paul. Only this record is the one that is stored in our table. So we've used the select, update, delete, and select, update, and insert, right? The DML. We've also touched on the create, alter. So we are remaining with drop and truncate. So let's come back here. I promise you to take you again on this update. So if I try to update and we don't have the ID one, if I try to run, I'm likely to get an error, right? Just do it. Okay, it's updating. I need to just update this one. Where ID is 1. Okay, I don't know why it's select all from stuff. Okay, it's giving us a false error, right? So it's giving us a false check over here and telling us, okay, as you dig in deeper to this message, it tells you 0 rows got affected, 0 rows got matched, right? So yes, it's correct, but nothing got changed. You just executed that, but it was a false command, all right? So nothing changed, all right? Yeah, just read the message in here. As you can see, 0 rows got affected, 0 whatever, nothing changed. But when I executed the delete, something happened, right? Yeah. Okay, so with the drop, with the truncate, a truncate, what happens with the truncate? So with the truncate, it deletes the table completely, but the structure of the table will remain. So when we use the word truncate, we'll delete everything that's inside this table that we call stuff. I know right now it only has one record, okay? But as we progress in your journey or your career as software developer, you're getting a table with thousands of records. So if you want to delete all those records all at once, you use the command we call truncate. So to delete that or to execute that, we write truncate like that, and then you write table. You specify the name of the table stuff. If I execute this table is gonna be empty completely. All right, execute. right? It's a green check. Now let's select all from staff. If I fetch again the table, right now it's empty, doesn't have anything. Everything has disappeared. Now, there's another command that is used mostly, but you have to be cautious when you're using this command. It's called the drop. So with the drop, it deletes the table completely. Okay. So let's try to maybe add a few rows, and then so we can write here 3, maybe 4, and then execute. I know they're the same, but don't worry. Okay, we get duplicate staff primary key 3. Yeah. So this one's supposed to be 4. Great. So let's try to retrieve again, because I want to show you how the drop commands work. Right? Right now we have 2, right? So if I use the word drop table, what will happen? Right now we have the staff. You can even see it in the left pane. But if I write drop table, okay, staff, like that, what will happen? It will disappear completely, just like that, because we've deleted it completely using the drop command. I hope you are together up to that point. Great. Now we've touched on all the commands. So I want to show you what we call the comments in SQL. So with comments, we have 2 types of comment. We have single line and multiple line, right? Let me return it the way it was. So let's say, for example, I want to explain to someone who doesn't understand what this line does. So I'll just come and write here 1 line comment like that, 2 minuses or 2 double hyphen, right? And then tell someone this command deletes data from a table, just like that. That's what we call a single line comment. When you execute this will be ignored by our server. We also have what we call multiple line comments. Okay, so fetch data from a table. That's what we call a multiple line comment. So by multiple lines, it goes beyond 1 line. Okay, so you can always write again, you can keep on writing few things. Okay, if you want to explain it further, all right, you can keep on writing. But with 1 line, you're just explaining on a single line. Okay. Yes. Now, let's talk about the order by and the where. For that, I'll need to create a new table so that I take you guys using the where and the order by. Now let's create, come back to our browser, click, come back to where we were trying to design. We have the student table, right? So let's work with the student table. We have the first name, last name, and please note, it will not always be like this at the small attributes. Okay, you might find a table with more than 20 attributes, but attributes just the features. Now, let's go with the student. So this student table has what? Primary key, first name, last name, the age, and the department, right? So for example, come back to our SQL workbench, open it again, right? There it is. Great. Now, I want to close all this because I'm not using them anymore. So I'll click there and then close all but this because I want to remain with just one, and then I'll say don't save. Apologies for that noise. Okay, so I've remained with only one. Okay, so I'll also remove this one because I'm not using it anymore, but she's still working with the school database, right? So I don't want to remove the first line. So let's start by creating our new table. Create table. Let's call that table student. Open that. ID, integers, primary key. Remember I said these are constraint, right? And then I'm going to pass in a new constraint that we call auto increment. I'll explain what it does. auto increment, and then first name, last name, also their age, it's an integer, and the department they belong, right? Department, varchar. Like that. So this is the structure of a table, okay? Please write down if you are noting down. So we have student, the ID, the first name, the last name, the age, and the department. Where did I get all this? Now, again, let's switch for 20 seconds. Let's switch back to our browser. This is where I got the columns name, right? So we have the student, the unique ID, the first name, the last name, the age, and the department. Where am I getting all the data type? So you just need to come here and search data type used in MySQL. Data type. Like that. You'll get so many of them. Yeah, you can always read ahead. Okay. So we have char, we have various char, we have binary, we have that, tiny text, text, blob, medium size, medium, long text, and all that. So let's come back to our SQL workbench one more time. There's something that I passed here that we call it a constraint. We call it auto increment, right? So remember, initially I was writing the IDs on my manually, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But right now, since the numbers are unique, I can leave it for the server to take care for that, that for me, right? Now the server will increment automatically, depending with which number was the last one. For example, if I insert a new row into a table, it will be 1, right? The next one will be 2 automatically. All right, now, if I execute this table, we execute from where? From here, right? Press enter. Once I execute, we'll get what? We get this pin check. So refresh here, then we're going to see the table student. Right now it's empty, it doesn't have anything, right? So our table is here, the student table. Okay, so let's now insert data into this table that we call student. So to do that, let's open a new working area and then tell our server which database are we currently working with. So use school DB like that. And then write this, insert into student, open that, and then the values. Now we want to specify the values. We'll start with the first name because now the IDs, the server will auto-populate that. And then, comma, last name, the age, and also the department. And then close that. Come to a new line. All right. Write this values. Okay. Open a bracket. Specify the first name of this student. Okay. Maybe Jane. Gender. Like that. Their age 20. Department IT. Right. Now close it like that. I can create multiple. Sorry. Let me create a few more. Okay, let's change here. Wow, I'm running out of names. Don't worry. Yeah. Maybe this one is 19. The department is business. Engineering. And then maybe they are 21. Can call them Jacob. Let me see someone names here. Yeah. So let's execute. Now, because this one is the last one, I have to terminate it using the semicolon. Now, if I execute, there we have it. There it is. We get the action here. It says insert into student, and then 4 rows got affected. New 4 records have been stored. So if I retrieve this table, come here, and then use school db, press enter. Okay, select all from student. There we have it. We have Jane Doe, John Doe, Grace Peters. The departments IT, HR, and business. So what will happen if, now let's try working with, okay, before even try that, let's try to fetch 2 columns using the select, and then we'll also use the order by. Remember the order by, I say that's what, just arrange, arrange either in ascending order or descending order. So to do that, let's select their first name. Okay, let's select, let's go with all first. Then from, okay, the name is student, order by, okay. So we want to order by their age, but now the age has to be in descending order, like that. So once I click here, we get what? Now Jacob starts, because Jacob is 21, and then Jane 20, John is 20 also. This is what we call descending order. What if I change to be ascending order? Like that, what will happen? And then execute. And there we have it. We have Grace as number 3. And then we have Grace as number 1 with 19 years. And then Jane, and then John. I believe we all understood what the order by does, right? Great. Now let's touch on the where. So with the where, for example, we want to perform a certain search condition, right? So select all from student, maybe where ID equals to 2. What will we get? We'll get 1 row, which is John Doe. So we're using the equality operator. Remember I said these are the comparison, right? So if I want to get maybe someone with an age greater than, okay, maybe 18, once I execute this, we'll get what? All the 3 of them, because they're above 18. All right? What if I try to change it to be less than? What will happen? I get nothing, because no one is below 18. Now, we call this the comparison operators. So this is how you can use the comparison operator. All right. Let's go to the logical operators. So with logical operators, let me write here a small description. like that. So let's try with logical operators, where we have the and, it's written like that. We also have the not and the or. This is what you call the logical operators, right? So with logical operators, for example, let's start with the and. So with and, what it does, when you use it with the where clause, it evaluates to true if a given expression evaluates to, if both of the given expression evaluates to true. So what will happen is, for example, we have age, right? We want to get someone whose age is equal to maybe 19, and let me write it in capital, and their first name is equals to who? Maybe Jane, which I don't think Jane is that. So we'll get nothing like that, because this one has to be true, and also this expression has to be true for us to get a result. So let's try to change maybe here to be Grace. We'll get what? We'll get an answer because this expression is true. It's true that Grace is 19 years old, right? And also the first name is Grace, as you can see here, right? Their first name is that. But there's another special command that we call, not command, but an operator. We call the OR. So with OR, either of these expression, either this or this, either has to be true. It doesn't matter if both of them are true, but it only checks for one. If one of them is true, it will give you a result. So let's change here to maybe my name like that. So you'll still get Grace, but because this expression is true. So if I execute, we are getting one. We're still getting Grace, but there's no one with the first name that is this, right? But it only checks for one of the expression. If one of the expression evaluates to true, and then you're likely to get a result. That's how we use the word or the logical operators. We also have the not, but with the not, I want to bring in a new command that we can use to improve our search. We call it the like operator. For example, we want to search in our table someone with the name Peter or even Grace, right? So I'll say name is equals to maybe Peter, right? We're not getting anything. Is there a John? First name, supposed to be first name. Apologies. Is equals to Peter. Okay, nothing still. Let's try to get, is there a John? Yeah, I'm sure there is a John. Now, instead of writing the entire of this line, we can shorten it to like this. Where first name, like that, and then, so instead of writing the entire John, we just put a percentage like that. And then when you execute, you get everyone that has the word JJJ, meaning that first of all, it checks if your first name has the word J and then the other characters do not matter. So it will match everything, right? So for example, if I add that and then, I want to get someone whose name ends with an N like that. If I execute, we just get the John. That's how you can improve the search pattern using the like operator. So if I want to work with a not, I just need to write here first name, not like. So this is how you write the not. Okay, it's not big enough. Let's try this. where first name okay. Again, if you forget, come back and research. Just search for what you call them, the logical operators. Like that. So let me improve this by writing SQL logical operators there. Then open this. So we have the comparison, compound, and then we have the not is here, right? So if I open not, so we can see the not. You just need to write the not like that, and then negate. So it turns the opposite. So if this one searches for anyone that ends their name ends with an N, okay, it returns the opposite of that. So it return everyone whose name does not end with an N. So we have first name, not like that. And then there we have it. So as you can see, Jane does not end with an N, Grace does not end with an N, Jacob does not end with an N, just like that. So that's all about the where clause, the and the search operator. So let's come back to here. So I want to stop the recording here, and then I'm gonna take in a few questions. All right, this for the ones who will be watching the recordings. Thank you so much.